Alright, today we're going to talk about solving and graphing inequalities. So let's get started. So first of all, our inequality symbols and what they mean. So we have these four symbols. So this first symbol kind of looks like an L, is the less than symbol. With it backwards is the greater than symbol. And then when you have these little lines under it, it's still the same thing. So since this one was, looks like the L still and has half of an equal sign, this is less than or equal to. And then this is our greater than sign with the equal sign underneath is greater than or equal to. So that's what those mean. So we have this symbol is less than, we have greater than, less than or equal to, and greater than or equal to. Now, what this stuff means is if we have this problem, we read this as x is greater than 4, and we want to know what that really means. So, if it's greater than 4, you just list everything that's greater than 4. So any number that's greater than 4 would make that statement true. Because if I plugged in any of these numbers, it would make it true. So if I said like 10 is greater than 4, that is true. So we know that that works. In this case, this one's saying x is less than 4. So things that are less than 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, and so on. Okay. Things that are greater than or equal to 4. So it can be greater than or equal to, so we're going to include 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and so on. And this one down here, x is less than or equal to 4, will be 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, negative 1, and so on. Alright, so let's take a look at this. Alright, now when we solve inequalities, we do the same steps to solve an equation. So if you're going to solve this equation, we want to isolate the variable, which is x. So it means I need to get rid of plus 5. So in order to do that, I'm going to go minus 5 and minus 5. So negative 3 minus 5 is going to give me negative 8. Alright, now if I had this inequality equation, I'm going to do the same thing. So if we're going to do the same thing, we still need to isolate this variable. So I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides. And now I'm going to get x is less than negative 8. So what this means is in this case, the only thing that's going to make this answer true is negative 8. I'm going to put that in for x. But in this one, it's saying I can choose any number that's smaller than negative 8, plug it in, and it'll be true. So like, let's check negative 9. So if I put negative 9 in here, negative 9 plus 5 is less than negative 3. Negative 9 plus 5 is negative 4. And now we said negative 4 is less than negative 3. That's true. So you know you got that right. Alright, so let's look at this. Now we got negative 8. The opposite of negative 8 is positive 8. So we'll go plus 8. So now we got x equals 2. So that means the only thing that'll make this equation correct is 2. And over here, we're going to do the same exact thing. But in this case, we're saying x is greater than or equal to 2. So what this is saying, I can choose any number that's bigger than 2, and it'll make this true. So for example, let's choose 10. So negative 8 plus 10 is negative 2. Oh, I'm sorry, positive 2. And we can check, and we know that positive 2 is greater than or equal to negative 6, so that's true. So we know we got that right. Alright, let's try it with some multiplication. Alright, so when you have them stacked on each other like this, remember it just means division, so we just need to multiply both sides. So this would be x equals 50. Again, if you have it like this, you're still going to multiply both sides by 5. So x is going to be greater than 50. So what that means is any number bigger than 50. And then when they're next to each other, it means multiply. So the opposite of multiply is divide. So in this equation, the only thing that will make this true is negative 12. But if I have an inequality, I'm going to divide both sides by 12. And this is going to tell me x is greater than or equal to negative 12. So any number that's bigger than or equal to negative 12 will make that equation true. Alright, so let's look at this. So I'm going to show you a couple of these, and we're going to see if we can figure out what happens here. So it means multiply when they're next to each other, so we're going to divide. And now when I do this, 9 divided by negative 3, I'm going to get negative 3. But my answer is now going to be x is less than or equal to negative 3. Over here, I'm going to multiply by negative 4. So I'm going to get x is greater than or equal to negative 48. I'm going to divide by negative 15. So x is less than negative 15. Over here, I'm going to multiply by negative 3. I'm going to get x is less than 45. I'm going to multiply by negative 10. So x is less than or equal to negative 100. And our last one, divided by negative 9. So x is greater than negative 9. Alright, so what we should have seen here is all these had to do with multiplying or dividing by a negative. And we should have noticed that every single one of my signs flipped. So whenever we multiply or divide by a negative number, our inequality symbol switches sides. So what that looks like, we'll write down a little rule for it. So it says, what is the rule when we multiply or divide by a negative? Our rule is whenever you multiply or divide by a negative number, you always flip the sign. So, go ahead and try these. Remember, if it's multiplying or dividing by a negative, you flip the sign. If it's adding or subtracting, you just leave it alone. So go ahead and pause this, try these problems, and when you get done, go ahead and come back and we'll check to see how you did. Alright, let's take a look. So here you're going to subtract 5. Then we're going to get x is less than negative 11. Okay, so the first thing you should always do after you do this, you need to ask yourself, did you multiply or divide by a negative? If not, then the sign stays the same. Over here, I'm going to subtract 10. So I'm going to get x, that's going to be negative 13. So ask yourself, did I multiply or divide by a negative? I did not, so that stays the same. Over here, times 4, we got an x and a 48. So you ask yourself, did you multiply or divide by a negative? Did not, so symbol stays the same. Divide by 5, x and a 6. We did not divide by a negative, so it stays the same. Plus 12. We did not multiply or divide by a negative, so it stays the same. Times negative 3, x and negative 27. Now I did multiply by a negative, so that sign's going to flip. Over here, subtract 22. So x is less than or equal to negative 37. And then finally, our last one, we're going to divide by negative 10. So since I'm dividing by a negative, my sign flips, and I get x is less than 10. Alright, so now that we know how to solve, let's check out some stuff on how to graph. So these are important symbols that we need to know. So first off, we have a closed dot, so it's a closed circle. And what that means is we use that whenever we have a less than or equal to or greater than or equal to symbol. Over here we have an open circle, and for that we're going to use for less than or greater than symbols. And then you have a right arrow, which means all values to the right of the circle, and a left arrow, which means all values to the left of the circle. So these are our things. So if we have a closed circle like this, it's for less than or equal to and greater than or equal to. An open circle is for less than or greater than. A right arrow means all values to the right of the dot or the circle, and the left arrow means everything to the left of it. So now, if I'm going to solve these, we can solve these equations and graph them on our number line. So first thing you're going to do here is you're going to subtract 5. So you're going to get x is less than negative 11. Now, you look at the symbol. So again, remember, a closed circle is for less than or equal to and greater than or equal to. Open is for less than or greater than. So we have our number line here. So let's just throw negative 11 in the middle. So if I look at my symbol here, that's going to be an open circle. So we'll get an open circle. And we want to say, you now need to ask yourself what this means. This says x is less than or equal to, or less than negative 11. So you need to ask yourself what numbers are less than negative 11. So negative 12 is less than negative 11. Negative 12 is to the left. So my arrow is going to go to the left. It's going to be all things to the left. So what this graph means is any number to the left of -11 on this number line is going to make this equation true, or this inequality true. All right, over here you're going to subtract 10. So I'm going to be left with x is greater than or equal to -13. So I'll put my -13 here. Since I have a greater than or equal to symbol, I'm going to have a closed dot. And now I want all numbers that are either bigger than or smaller, or I'm sorry, bigger than or equal to -13, and those are going to be everything to the right. Down here I'm going to multiply by -3. So we get x, and this is going to be -27. Remember, since I multiplied by a negative, my sign flips. So we'll have -27 down here. I'll have a closed circle, and my arrow is going to go to the left because I want all numbers that are smaller than -27. And last one, you're going to divide by -10. So again, remember, since you divided by a negative, your sign flips. So this is going to be x is less than 10. So it's going to be an open circle. And since I want numbers less than 10, those are going to be to the left. Alright, so that was graphing and solving inequalities. If you have any questions, come on in and ask.